In this video, we'll be going over vitamin K1, K2, K3, K4. I'm joking, there's only 2. But we'll be focusing on vitamin K2. We'll be looking at the current research to see if vitamin K2 does reduce plaque buildup in the artery walls and provide cardiovascular benefits. So the main question is, does vitamin K remove calcium from the arteries? There's 2 main processes in the body that require vitamin K2. The first one is osteocalcin, which is essential for bone remodeling and building, and matrix GLA protein, which is essential for transporting calcium out of the vessel walls. So having a K2 deficiency theoretically can make bones weaker and more susceptible to breaking, and it can also result in more calcium buildup in the arteries that we don't want. But we don't care about theories. I mean, who are you, Einstein? We just care if this stuff works and saves us from dying. All right, let's look at some studies. The first big study is the Rotterdam study. The results here state, the results of this study suggest a protective effect of dietary menaquinone intake against coronary heart disease in older men and women. As indicated by the inverse association with all-cause mortality, high intake of menaquinone does not increase the risk for other major diseases such as cancer. There was no consistent association of phylloquinone intake with coronary heart disease, mortality, or aortic calcification. Okay, so in terms of vitamin K1, which is phylloquinone, we don't see any real benefit from getting more from our diet. We do, however, see benefit from more vitamin K2 intake, which is menaquinone. Foods high in vitamin K2 mostly include leafy green vegetables like kale, broccoli, asparagus, spinach, you get the idea. From this study, we see that dietary intake of more vitamin K2 is better for heart health. But we have to pump the brakes a little bit. Is the benefit coming from those people eating more vitamin K2? Or is it because foods that contain vitamin K2 are healthier foods in general? I mean, it's no secret that if you replace French fries with lettuce, you'd have a lower risk of a heart attack.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
What we want to find out is if 2 people ate French fries and one was given vitamin K2 as a supplement and the other a placebo, would the K2 provide a protective effect? Okay, so this one here is another big study combining 17 randomized controlled trials. Looking at the individual studies, we can check the doses that were used. It's good to see that most of these are doing a decent amount of vitamin K2, menaquinone 7, but some are taking a look at vitamin K1. Also keep in mind that the main form of vitamin K2 that has shown these benefits is menaquinone 7 and not menaquinone 4, so it's good that these studies are focusing on MK7. So we learned from the other study that K1 didn't provide much benefit while K2 foods did have a protective effect. Let's check the results of this one. In conclusion, we demonstrate from these 17 randomized controlled trials that vitamin K supplementation has no significant effect on changing weight, reducing CRP, controlling blood pressure, or even factors that belong to glycemic and lipid status, such as glucose, hemoglobin A1C, insulin, total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, HDL, except HOMA-IR. HOMA-IR is a test that can help prevent diabetes. Now we have this other study on vitamin K2 and vitamin D. This study showed that in elderly men with an AVC score greater than 300 AU, 2 years of MK7 plus vitamin D supplementation did not influence AVC progression. Not satisfied? Okay, fine. Here's one more. Patients with no prior ischemic heart disease randomized to vitamin K2 and D supplementation had no significant reduction in mean CAC progression over a 2-year follow-up compared to placebo. So it looks like vitamin K2 supplementation does not provide any additional benefit on heart health. But there might be another reason to take vitamin K2, and that is bone health. Here's a study on postmenopausal women and vitamin K2 MK7 supplementation. MK7 supplements may help postmenopausal women to prevent bone loss. Whether these results can be extrapolated to other populations, for example, children and men, needs further investigation. So obviously we don't know if this benefit will show up in males, but my guess is that it will not. We don't even know if the supplementation with K2 will be beneficial for women in general. This study was just for postmenopausal women. And we already know that postmenopausal women have a decent risk of getting osteoporosis. So K2 shows benefit for them, but will the results translate to healthy females and even males? Not sure, but my guess is probably not. Now that doesn't mean you should throw away your vitamin K2 supplement.
Kobe!
It just means that you should 100% treat it as a supplement and probably only consider taking it if you don't get enough vitamin K2 from your diet. But if you are getting enough K2 from green leafy vegetables, then it's probably not going to provide any additional benefit for you. I hear a lot of talk about how vitamin D supplementation, especially at high doses, can cause calcification in the artery walls. So a reason that most people like to supplement with vitamin K2 is because they believe it will offset the effect of high dose vitamin D. Now there are many forms of vitamin D. Dietary ergocalciferol, which is D2 used by doctors, 7-dehydrocholesterol, which we get from the sun, cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D3, and these are all processed by the liver, and they make calcifediol, which is processed by the kidney and makes calcitriol. Calcitriol is what's given by doctors for people with poor kidneys or some kind of reduced kidney function. Calcitriol and calcifediol are considered more potent than D2 and D3, and also the one we get from the sun, so the risk of toxicity is much greater with those two. Vitamin D toxicity can cause an increase in calcification. It is not dose dependent. Obviously, a higher dose has a higher risk of toxicity, but it's not just the high dose that causes this calcification. It's the vitamin D toxicity. So just because you take a high dose for an extended period doesn't mean you will get calcification. You need your blood levels to reach toxic levels first, and you can easily measure that with a routine blood test. So by this logic, taking a high dose vitamin D doesn't mean you should be taking a high dose vitamin K2 with it automatically. You still need to make sure your vitamin D levels are in range and not too high. And if they do get to toxic levels, you need to bring them back down by getting rid of the vitamin D, because vitamin D toxicity is no joke, and so supplementing with vitamin K2 is not going to save you there. And if your levels are within the normal range for vitamin D, then vitamin K2 probably is not providing any additional benefit, because you probably aren't getting any additional calcification from the vitamin D. So just stick to vitamin K2 from your diet. For now, it doesn't seem like vitamin K2 provides any benefit for anyone other than postmenopausal women with osteoporosis or those at risk of developing osteoporosis. Now, I get it. If it's a safe supplement, what's the harm in taking vitamin K2? The side effects of vitamin K2 seem to be pretty much non-existent and minuscule, so you probably won't be doing much harm by supplementing with vitamin K2. But it also doesn't seem like there is much benefit to go out of your way to supplement with vitamin K2. If you are taking a multivitamin or a vitamin D supplement, then sure, it's not a bad idea to look for one that also has vitamin K2 in it. Probably at a dose of 90 or 145 micrograms is good enough. All I'm saying is that it isn't a good enough reason to rely on this as a way to get calcium out of your arteries. Now, if you want to check out if another supplement is good for heart health, then watch my video on nattokinase that I've linked right here. That's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.